Hey everybody, I'm Mike, this is Budget Guns and Gear Reviews, and you are watching the Right of the People single shot, where it's you, me, and whatever stripped my trigger today. So uncover your keyboards and fire up your fingers. Time to join the conversation. Hey everybody, I'm Mike, this is Budget Guns and Gear Reviews, and this is not Friday. This is, in fact, Monday, July 20th, 2020, and you are watching a Right of the People single shot. Got one topic tonight and one only, and today we are talking about the McCloskeys, a.k.a. the St. Louis couple, a.k.a. the Cul-de-Sac Commandos, a.k.a. Karen and Ken, a.k.a. them people over in St. Louis. For those of you that don't know the story, the McCloskeys came to notoriety when a group of protesters, quote unquote, others have described them as an angry mob, burst through a gate into their private community, which was all private property, not just their yard and curtilage and whatnot. The entire place was private property. They were afraid. They went and fetched their handy-dandy Colt AR-15 and Jimenez 380. Strange juxtaposition for somebody with... I'm a little quiet. Are you kidding me? Here, let me turn that up just a skosh. There we go. Anyhow... they went and fetched that to to defend themselves against the angry mob, and were pointing the firearms at the mob. The female of the couple had her finger on the trigger pretty much the whole time, waving it around and pointing it at multiple people. So, yeah. Well, we've been talking over the last couple weeks that the local prosecutor, Kim Gardner, in the St. Louis area, has been seeking grand jury indictment against them, and apparently it was because they were charged today with felonies. We'll talk about that in just a moment, but first, I would like to welcome my esteemed panel. We have the kingpin himself, David Bowling. How you doing, sir?
Doing pretty swell, man. Thanks for the invite.
Hey, no problem, man. You are always welcome here, brother. And speaking of always welcome, we have the irascible yet lovable Squibload. How are you, sir?
Evening, everybody.
Out there in the chat, so far we have Kingpin pulling double duty, Carolina EDC reviews, Jason Stewart, 3131 biker. I think I've seen you in the comments of Friday's show. Glad you decided to stick around and check things out. Hope you continue to be part of the conversation over here. Mystic Guns is here. Let's see, who else? Midnight Range TM, SS Pawn in the house. Mike is here. Who else? Anybody else? Ozzy Osbourne barking at the moon. Gunpowder Beauty is in the house. She would have handled the mob in a slightly different manner. There would have been mass throat punching involved, and no one would have ever picked up a protest sign ever. Clint Torres in the house. And I think I've caught up to everybody. If I've missed you, I apologize. If you're out there in the audience and you haven't sounded off in the chat, please do so. If you are watching in replay, sound off in the comments below. That way I can see what you have to say about this, because this is, as always, a conversation. It is a two-way street. It is a give and take, a free exchange of ideas, not just simply me sitting here spouting off. Even though I obviously like to do that. So, let's get into it, folks. This is from the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. From Robert Patrick, about 40 minutes. Let me refresh this, see how because when I pulled it up, it was 40 minutes ago. It was from an hour ago. McCloskeys charged with felonies for waving guns during protests. St. Louis. The St. Louis couple, who became worldwide news after waving guns at protesters outside their Central West End home last month, were charged Monday with gun crimes, despite pushback against the investigation from Jefferson City to Washington. Mark and Patricia McCloskey each are facing a single felony count of unlawful use of a weapon. Charging documents say he pointed an AR-15 rifle at protesters and she wielded a semi-automatic handgun, placing those protesters in fear of injury. Charging documents say investigators conducted numerous witness interviews and relied on video footage and McCloskeys' own statements about the June 28th incident. In a statement, St. Louis Circuit Attorney Kimberly M. Gardner said, "It is illegal to wave weapons in a threatening manner at those participating in nonviolent protest, and while we are fortunate this situation did not escalate into deadly force, this type of conduct is unacceptable in St. Louis." Yet rioting and barging onto people's property and threatening them, that's totally cool. Matter of fact, looting, burning, pillaging is all great because you've released, 31 people who were charged with those types of crimes over the last month or so in St. Louis? Yeah, but these two, oh no, these two, how dare they defend their home? But looting and burning, that's good with you. Anyhow, I digress. She said the charges followed a thorough police investigation and that she would be open to resolving the charges with a diversion program, a form of probation that would mean no conviction for the McCloskeys if successfully completed. You know what that tells me? She knows she doesn't have a hope in hell of winning this case at trial. Missouri Attorney General Eric Schmidt said he will seek dismissal of the charges and called them a case of political prosecution. Eric Schmidt, from a tweet by him, citizens shouldn't be targeted for exercising their 2A right, which is what these people were. St. Louis prosecutor Kim Gardner is engaged in a political prosecution. As AG, I'm entering the case seeking a dismissal and defend all Missourians' right to protect their lives and property. Let's watch his video.
Hello, I'm Missouri Attorney General Eric Schmidt. The right to keep and bear arms is given the highest level protection in the Missouri Constitution and our laws, which I'm charged with protecting. This includes the Missouri Castle Doctrine, which provides broad rights to Missourians to protect and defend their personal safety and property against those who wish to do them harm. And yet, in the wake of radical calls to defund the police, and with rates of violent crime skyrocketing each day, the St. Louis Circuit Attorney filed suit against the St. Louis couple, who, according to published reports, say they were doing just that, defending the safety of their family and their private property. Enough is enough. As Missouri's chief law enforcement officer, I simply will not stand by while Missouri law is being ignored. That's why I'm entering this case and seeking the dismissal of this case to protect the rights of Missourians to defend themselves and their property under Missouri's Castle Doctrine. A political prosecution such as this one would have a chilling effect on Missourians exercising their right to self-defense. The law in Missouri is clear and must be protected. We're in the middle of a crisis of violence in our major cities here in Missouri, including in St. Louis. My office is committed to working with law enforcement, state and federal partners, and community leaders to protect our communities, combat violence, and defend our citizens. We should focus our attention on that, not these kinds of divisive decisions not based on the law. May God bless you, and may God bless the great state of Missouri.
And I think that is just absolutely wonderful to hear from the Attorney General of Missouri. Defense lawyer Joel Schwartz issued his own statement, calling the charges disheartening, as I unequivocally believe no crime was committed. Schwartz said, "The First Amendment right of every citizen to have their voice and opinion heard must be balanced with the Second Amendment and Missouri law, which entitle each of us to protect our home and family from potential threats." Schwartz has previously told the Post-Dispatch that, based on Missouri law and the Castle Doctrine, the McCloskeys were 100% within their rights. After the incident, the couple told the Post-Dispatch that they would do it all again. The couple said they'd been told days before that the protest group Expect Us was planning an event. Mindful of the June 1st arson of a 7-Eleven store in downtown St. Louis, the couple had fire extinguishers in every room on the lower level of their mansion. Mark McCloskey also had his rifle at the ready. McCloskey said he saw a flood of people break through a locked gate and enter Portland Place, a private residential street. Protesters have denied that, saying they came through an unlocked gate and did not damage it. A video from the night shows an apparently undamaged gate being held open for the first demonstrators, but at some later point the gate was damaged. Protesters have also said they were not on the McCloskeys' property. The marchers were heading to St. Louis Mayor Lyda Crewson's house on Lake Avenue and taking a shortcut through the private neighborhood. The McCloskeys said they grabbed their guns and confronted the protesters, fearful for their lives. Mark McCloskey said both safeties were engaged on their guns. A lawyer for them later said the pistol was inoperable. In a confrontation that lasted about 15 minutes, Mark McCloskey can be heard yelling, "Get out! Get out! Get out!" A protester responds, "Calm down," while someone else yells an expletive. "I believe in my heart of hearts the only thing that kept those mobsters, that crowd, away from us is that we were standing there with guns," Mark McCloskey told the newspaper. He said the couple's actions had nothing to do with race. Videos do not show protesters on the McCloskeys' lawn, nor on a 1,143 square foot triangle of grass, the ownership of which is disputed. Mark McCloskey once said in a deposition that he had pointed a gun at a neighbor over that triangular patch. A group of neighborhood residents later condemned the McCloskeys' actions. Asked about Monday's charges, St. Louis University law professor John Amman said, "It makes a lot of difference that the protesters were not on their property, according to the videos. If the protesters were on their property, the reasons matter," he added, giving us an example, someone picking up a water bottle that had been dropped or thrown. Under the McCloskeys' theory, they could shoot and kill a child running on their property to get a ball they were playing with, he said. Now, that's just being asinine. That is being completely asinine and stretching the point to absurdity. There is a tremendous bit of difference between a kid running to get a ball and a mob of protesters who, historically, in recent days in that city, have been burning shit down. He also said that the fact the McCloskeys lived on a private street didn't matter, saying everybody on the block could stand on their lawn with a gun. Well, everybody on the block could stand on their lawn with a gun. Gardner's office issued charges despite a statement by Governor Mike Parson that he would likely pardon the pair if charges were issued. Asked about a pardon in a radio interview Friday, Parson said that although he didn't know all the facts, by all means I would, and I think that's exactly what would happen. Parson has previously said that he believed the Castle Doctrine would apply. Parson on Monday evening tweeted that the charges against the McCloskeys are outrageous. I believe Parson, when he was in the Missouri legislature, was one of the sponsors of their Castle Doctrine law. I could be mistaken, but I think that's the case. Last week, U.S. Senator Josh Hawley, Republican, Missouri, said that he'd asked the Department of Justice in a letter to investigate Gardner's office for a civil rights violation, calling her investigation an abuse of power. He also faulted Gardner for not charging protesters with trespassing. The Justice Department declined to comment. We talked about this on Friday. In a statement in response, Gardner wrote, "I'm deeply disappointed that a U.S. Senator would intervene in a local matter that is under investigation. In other words, how dare you interfere with me running roughshod over people I dislike?" A Hawley tweet about the matter was both praised and criticized, with some saying that he had ignored the facts and others asking why he was not instead focusing on the coronavirus pandemic. Hawley was echoing comments by both Parson and President Donald Trump. Trump claimed the McCloskeys were at risk of being beaten and having their house ransacked and burned. He called the potential for their prosecution a disgrace in an interview. A Gardner lawyer, Roy Austin, told CNN Thursday that Gardner has received numerous threats to her life since announcing the investigation, as well as vile, racist, sexist commentary exacerbated by Trump. Yeah, because, Trump's responsible for everything. Austin called Trump's comments on the case insane and Hawley's letter to the Justice Department a joke. So, there you have it, folks. Mr. and Mrs. McCloskey, the Cul-de-Sac Commandos, the Ken and Karen, are being charged with a felony for pointing their guns at the crowd that they felt were there to do them no good whatsoever. What do you guys think? Should they have been charged for this, or is this malicious prosecution? Squib?
Malicious prosecution.
Kingpin, what do you think?
I think it's malicious prosecution. And one of the things that leads me to that is when you read an article where she said she did exhaustive research or whatever. What that means is she was doing everything she could to skim through all the law books to find something she could charge them with. As if they did something wrong, you could just bam, that's clearly wrong. You did something wrong. Here's the law against that. So she's a radical. George Soros paid for everything that she's ever owned or done. So
Who dropped out? Squibby dropped out. Well, hello, Ro. Glad to see you. You snuck in there while I was reading. How you doing?
Hey, what's going on?
Well, you heard it, man. The McCloskeys got charged with felonies. You think it's justified? You think it's unjustified? You think it's a load of crap? Do you think it's great? Is it malicious prosecution, or is the circuit attorney doing her due diligence as a public servant?
Well, I mean, it all depends what their laws are. What is their felony for? I came in right at the end.
For pointing their guns. The exact felony is unlawful use of a weapon exhibiting. You pointed the rifle at the
Well, they're
protesters,
gonna have
and
to
she
prove
pointed the
that
handgun.
that it was that. I mean,
does exhibiting, is that like another way of saying brandishing?
I think so, yeah. Basically brandishing. Yeah, brandishing. Let's see what they say on the chat. Let's see. Who was it? Gunpowder Beauty says, I know her so well. Yes, she would have been there would have been mass throat punches, and there would have been no need for gunplay. Clint Torres says, Kim Gardner, Democrat, activist, racist, and all-around horrible human. I can't see that I disagree with that. 3131 Biker says, you're always spouting off. Well, yes, this is very true. Midnight Range TM. No, I have not seen the governor's statement about this. I'll look for it here in a moment. Ozzy Owersborn says he's boycotting St. Louis until Gardner is removed. Jason Stewart says that prosecutor needs removed from her job. I believe so as well. Hopefully it's an elected position, and the electorate down there will get rid of all that garbage. Who's the hottie above budget? I don't know. Unless you're talking about Kingpin, Roll Call, or Squib.
No.
Squib?
While you were reading the article, there was a really good-looking girl from one of the old, 1980s Conan movies or something like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, gotcha. No, I don't know who that. Clint Torres says, hell, she doesn't even charge half the cases brought to her. Let's see. Clint Torres says Gardner is is a perfect example of an out-of-control Democrat. Seven Wonders says the couple's gun handling was horrible. I agree. That said, I give them credit for protecting themselves. I agree. And though he says, however, personally, I wouldn't go outside if there were 300 to 500 protesters at my house, and I agree on that as well. If I would not be outside, however, I would be just inside my doorway and or in taking position at a window facing them, and if I saw anybody light a match, they'd get drilled. That's a fact. Particularly if they light a wick on a Molotov, I'd shoot the Molotov and splatter a few of them. Let's see. Philo says Squib does have his charms, but hot. 3131 Biker says it was Tanya Roberts. She was a Playboy playmate. Well, there you go. And M. Gabriel rightly points out the Conan chicks are Sandal Bergman, Olivia Dabo, and Grace Jones. So, there we have it, folks. The McCloskeys are being charged. I personally think that is absolutely a case of malicious prosecution. It is politically driven. I believe it was Kingpin that said, bought and paid for. This is the prosecutor returning quid pro quo to the people that filled her campaign coffers. And that's that. I'm glad to see that the Attorney General is weighing into this. And I hope that if the judicial system loses its collective mind in Missouri, that the governor would just say, I pardon you, you're done, bye, go home. And if they don't, hopefully El Presidente could do it.
All right,
Scott
the
P79
president's
says
not.
the Missouri Attorney General just filed papers to dismiss the charges. Now, someone was saying something?
Squibby was getting ready to say something.
Go ahead, Squib.
President's not going to get involved.
Oh, I'm sure he won't.
No, he's not going to get involved. Okay, so here's the deal. If the governor says, no matter what the outcome, what they charge him with, how long they played it, whatever the hell it is, the governor in the end will pardon them. And people in that state need to hold the governor's feet to the fire and say, if you promise to pardon them and you fail to pardon them, if it comes down to that, then we will remember this at election time. It's the same way the people in my state need to remember what this bitch has been doing in Michigan in 2 years when election time comes. And that goes for all of these states. All of these states where the governors have the ability to make a difference for the greater good in people's lives, whether it be to make things better in your state, make it safer, or to make it worse and to make it less safe. So if this governor is promising to more or less veto whatever happens, okay, they need to remember that come election time if the governor follows through or the governor fails. It's as simple as that. As far as the couple, their gun handling skills, all that other bullshit, who really cares? These people, Sarge said it best, I think. He said, why not charge all the protesters who broke down that gate, and they broke it down. I'm sick of hearing this bullshit about, oh, no, it was after the fact, whatever. They broke down the gate, they entered private property, they were told to leave, they didn't leave, now it's trespassing. They need to charge every single one of them. If they're going to charge the McCloskeys, they need to charge all the people that were there illegally that day, period. Regardless of whether or not the rest of the HOA there is against them or not. And by the way, this is a good message for the McCloskeys. Move. Get the hell out of that neighborhood. They don't want you there. For all you know, if this gate was left unlocked, but you thought it was locked, maybe one of your asshole neighbors did it. So move. In the end, I think that we need to look at this from a standpoint of right versus wrong. To hell with the laws. I understand we have to follow the laws and this is going to be settled in court and all that other stupid horseshit. But right versus wrong. It was wrong for those people to enter private property and then to threaten them. And it was right for these people to defend their home, defend their lives. Whether the law says it's right or wrong, it doesn't matter. It's a matter of being able to stand up and say, morally, ethically, what they did was right. We understand that it might not be according to Missouri state law, and maybe those laws need to be amended. Maybe this is a good example of either amending those laws, or if it's proven that they obeyed the law, let's find a way to strengthen those laws to make it more clear that they were in the right. And anybody who does this in the future is in the right. Otherwise, they're just going to use every little incident like this where we are lawfully protecting ourselves to vilify us. And it doesn't matter what state you're in.
Now that is an absolute truth. You can bet that if this garbage flies, it's going to make its way to a locale near you when you have to defend yourself. Anybody that they quote unquote don't want us to be able to defend ourselves from these mobs. They want us to be too afraid to do it because they want us to be afraid. They want us to be in fear and knuckle under. That's why they want us to be disarmed.
And with the McCloskeys being lawyers, they should already be working up a case to sue the mayor. Why were they in the neighborhood? Because they were coming to the mayor's house.
Yep.
And the mayor is in charge of the police. Why didn't the mayor have a police presence there to protect the neighborhood if it was public knowledge that they were coming to the mayor's house? I mean, I'm not into lawsuits like that, but hell with it. They want to charge the McCloskeys. The McCloskeys can file a junk lawsuit against the mayor. It only makes sense. I know, in the end, the taxpayers will just pay it, right?
Yeah.
But it's the principle, I guess. And I'm not, like I said, I'm just not the kind to do stupid stuff like that. But fight stupid with stupid, I guess. This time, maybe not every time, but this time.
Now, Scooby said it right off the beginning of his statement, and I've been saying it for all of 2020. Your memory is the most important thing that you have right now. Not your gun, not your food, none of that stuff. If you just forget all this stuff that's been happening, shame on you. I said at the beginning of the Rona, remember what good people do. Those people that turn their bars into hand sanitizer makers, remember them people. And then remember the people who locked you down for no reason. Remember the people who took your job from you for no reason, burnt your house down for no reason, or your business down. But if you forget, we're doomed. If people remember this kind of stuff, then we have a chance. If we do what we always do, you know, we forgot about what happened to Brett Kavanaugh, we forgot about what this, we forgot about that, then we're doomed.
Yep. Let's see what Missouri's governor has said on this topic. This is a piece from independent.co.uk. Does it say who by? Is there a byline?
Castle Doctrine was introduced in the state of Missouri. Myself and Representative Jones, Kenny Jones, two former sheriffs, were the ones that developed the Castle Doctrine here in Missouri that actually went to be the national model, which is the exact one the McCloskeys were defending their property with in St. Louis, which they had every right to do under the...
All right, stop. I just have to ask, what the hell is that? Is that supposed to be a mask of some sort? Because it looks like it has a window. It's basically just a screen. What the hell kind of good is that?
I think that's a mix of the face shield and the mask.
That's weird as hell. Anyhow, sorry, that distracted the shit out of me.
The Castle Doctrine. Law enforcement on that night was available. We were notified through the governor's office, through the Highway Patrol was not notified of that situation. However, that being said, that couple had every right to protect their property. They have the ability to do that as private citizens like everyone else. But what they should not go through is a prosecutor attempting to take their constitutional rights away by filing charges against them for protecting their property.
Now that makes sense. M. Gabriel says it's so lip readers can see him. That makes sense, actually. So, I will agree on that. So there you have it. Governor doesn't agree with this garbage either, and I suspect that they will see absolutely zero in the way of time inside a jail. Clint Torres says the governor's okay, but kind of a pussy. I guess I can, show that. So there you have it, folks. I mean, that's really all I have to talk about tonight is that bit of news. Keep up on it. Watch it. If you are a constituent of the governors, if you are a constituent of the attorney generals, if you, have a dog in that fight at all and have any standing at all, make sure you call those elected representatives and let them know what you think. Send them a snail mail, email, telephone, telegraph, carrier pigeon, smoke signal, semaphore, bicycle messengers, runners, tom-toms, anything that you have to do to let them know what you think. And never, ever, ever give up the fight. Thanks for coming and hanging out.